Put the LUs in the chat.
Yeah. Talking
Let's go.
to my mirror like I love you so much. Covering all my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tell me all the I ever gave on my head.
Let go.
Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand. I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming now, my roof leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the by my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on.
Using the chat, let's go.
On that long run, all I really want is my share. Give him my God, I told him it's nothing. In the discussion, all them feelings I throw all my pain on percussion. It's disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you all my spot at the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Any up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty, talk about old. I'm on the now, can't get a pass now. I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a pass out. I've been killing my lows and living on highs. You see in the skies the proof. You could just see in my eyes that there is no lies. I cannot disguise the truth. I've been duck dog getting in my new merch, color duck sauce on the new couch with my Chucks on. Get the on with that hate. I'm big cool on the small chat, cause I know now that I'm all that. Got a Hawkeye on the ball cat. Get the out of my face.
Look, hey. Appreciate y'all coming into this live. You know how we do it. We love to get hyped before. We love to turn that music up. You know, look, this is another Level Up Legend program brought to you by Level Up and Tech. And today, we got a special guest. Today, we got a person that is just taking off in his career. Today, we got somebody who's a former pro athlete, former sports project manager that took his career straight to cloud engineering. All right. So look, listen, put the IO in the chat, right? And listen, for y'all in tech who know IO means input, output, put the IOs in the chat, right? Because whatever you put into this thing, you're gonna get out. And let's introduce big dog, big money out there in the islands of Turks and Caicos. Ifeanyi Otunye, what's up, big dog?
What's up, Broadus? Appreciate you having me, man, and just thank you for everyone who's tuning in and watching this episode of Level Up and Level Up Legends.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. Look, I don't see the IOs in the chat. I'm about to say, I don't see the IOs in the chat yet. What's going on now? Input, output. That's what it is. That's what we talk about. We dropping gems today. He could give you his story today. He gonna let y'all know today what it's gonna take for you to be great. Cause think about it. Oh man, like if you look at the man's story, like all his life, he had to fight. You know what I'm saying? Be great. And this is what greatness looks like, right? When you go from athlete, you take that mentality and you put it into another career, and you're just gonna go straight to the top. All right. So y'all came here for the meat and potatoes. We're gonna get y'all straight to the meat and potatoes. I'm gonna ask the first question, man. What motivated you to join our program? How did you first hear about Level Up Tech?
Yeah, so actually my cloud journey started like maybe 6 months before I've been, joined the program, when I first decided that I was going to make the statement I was going to be a cloud engineer. Crazy, daring statement. I don't know where it came from, but that's how it started. And I'd gone through the self-taught route. I got a few certifications, studied on myself, and then I started applying to roles, and nobody was hitting me back, right? So I was like, yo, I've been putting in all this work. I got my certifications. Why isn't anybody hitting me back up? And at that point, I felt like I was stuck, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what steps to take to move forward, because I felt like I've done so much. What else can I do? And, it was very early in my journey, but at that time I was new to LinkedIn. But every time I went on LinkedIn, only thing I saw was like Level Up in Tech, Lewitt. Like I just saw people who alumni, I saw people who just graduated, people who are in the program. And that's when I got interested, because I felt like this was an avenue that I could pursue to offer me like a roadmap, like a structured pathway to achieve the dream, which I wanted, which is to be a cloud engineer, right? And after seeing Level Up and Tech a lot, like on LinkedIn, like just all over the place, right? You just couldn't miss them, couldn't miss us, right? So I ended up messaging a few alumni and some students, and all they had to say was good things, right? So what's crazy is that after that, I still didn't make the decision. It took about 2.5 months had passed, before, because I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to make the sacrifice at first. Um, but I was saying, how much am I willing to sacrifice? Well, some months had passed, and then I asked myself that question. It was like, what are you willing to sacrifice for a chance to change your life, right? And when I answered that question, I was like, yeah, that's enough for me to take the leap and just join this program and, just have faith, and whatever happens at the end. But it gave me a chance to change where the circumstances where I was at, which we will talk about that later.
Yo, you know what's crazy is when you connected with me on LinkedIn, right? You may send me a message like a introduction, you may
Yeah.
have. However, I started seeing you post, like I started seeing you like just putting content out there, right? Just engaging with folks before you even came to the program, right? And you were just putting yourself out there and just, hey, this is me, this is what I'm doing. And I think that's very important because it set the tone for you being comfortable doing that anyway, even when we ask you to, right? And I think it's just that mindset from your former background. And speaking of your former background, let's talk about that. What was your background before you joined Level Up and Tech?
Yes, my background. So it's very different. Most people don't really hear people making this type of transition as far as being a professional athlete, right? So I was a professional track and field athlete from the time I graduated from Kansas State University. Go Cats, by the way. And I represent my country, Turks and Caicos Islands, and also got a small deal with Nike. But the deal wasn't enough to cover all my expenses, right? So I still had to work on the side, and that's just the reality of a lot of like track and field athletes. It's not the same as an NBA professional athlete or NFL getting like all this type of money, right? We still, some of us still have to like work to cover up some of the expenses. So, but for the past 3 years, while I was being a professional athlete, I was working, started working as a sports event manager. So that entailed organizing all the national sporting events of my country, Turks and Caicos. And in that role, I realized that participating in sports as an athlete is a completely different thing than working in sports as an administrator, right? It's way different. So, if sporting events always usually happen on the weekend. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this is going on for like the whole year, right? So all my weekends when everybody's having the days off, that's when I was working those events, and the organization I was working with was extremely understaffed. So I was completely overworked, and which led to me being, really burnt out, stressed out, and it came to a point to where I started to resent the work I was doing, which didn't bring me joy because I loved sports. So I felt like entering inside sports to work in it I would have loved it, but the circumstances I was in, I ended up not liking it. And then like 3 months after I got that job, I also got married. So just imagine, like, I'm spending all those weekends away from my wife, just newly
Mm,
married. So it just wasn't like the best situation for me at that time, and it was a lot of strain on my family and just me mentally, right? And then, on top of that, I was still training at a high level to compete. I'm trying to compete against the best in the world, right? I'm going to like the Olympic Games and World Championship and stuff to that. So on a typical day, I would wake up like 5:30 a.m. and to train, and then I'll finish like 8:30. That's my first session of training. And then by 8:30, I have to rush to get ready for work by 9. And by 5, I finish work. And then I have my second training, right? Because I train twice a day, lifting and also on the track. So if you look at it, I would leave home at like 5 o'clock and get home like about 7 p.m. And my wife worked remote. So basically spending the like almost the whole day away from her, right? And when I came home, I was exhausted. So basically, that's when I realized that, I got to get up out of here, right? I need to start a new path for myself. I needed something new. So that's when I realized that, I sat down with myself and I said, I jotted down what I wanted for my career. And I said, I wanted something that's lucrative enough to take care of my family and generations to come, a career that was going to provide me, flexibility, also one to challenge me and had a clear path of growth, and also one that was in demand, And after doing some research and during my journey, obviously cloud kept on popping up, and that's when I realized, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Man, that's awesome, bro. And for those of you, really, what I've seen in what Ifeanyi was talking about is think about as an athlete, right? He was prepping months probably just for an event that'll pop off maybe one day or 2 days, right? On a weekend, right? And the same thing that's on your journey right now. We all preparing months for one opportunity in front of one company, right? And all this prep is just preparing us to gain the opportunity to be successful in winning something, a contract, a W-2 form of employment, right? Or even if we don't get that opportunity, we shine so bright to get referred for another opportunity, right? And this is what the mindset of finding what he brought to the table as well, I feel, is just competing with himself, not really looking at anybody else's journey, but really competing with himself and making sure he's better and understanding his why, right? He was working 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., his wife at home working remote, and he wanted something better. And every day, I'm pretty sure this wasn't clear and easy for him, but every day he probably wanted to quit. He just understood what he was doing every day. 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., who want to do that for the rest of their life? Right? So he decided to do something different and sacrifice what he had to sacrifice as far as time, energy spent, right? Mental exhaustion sometimes because this is something new, and it all paid off in the end. All right. So I know we talked about like some of the challenges you faced before you joined. So can you tell us about how were you able to overcome those challenges while working in UIT as far as, you know, trying to get employment and trying to get attention? How was you able to overcome that now that you joined the program?
Yeah. So, some of those challenges that I can point out was, like I already told you, I was basically doing so much. I was thinking, how am I going to balance this? And suppose I go into the program. I was also thinking, suppose I go into the program, finish, and I can't find a job. And also, I'm in Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean. So I'm like, who's going to hire me from here, right? I had all those questions in my head, but like, I went in scared, which we talked about earlier. But I was able to overcome these because number one, before I went in, my circle, right? My wife and my family and my friends, I let them know from the get-go, like, listen, I'm going to sacrifice 6 months. I just need you to give me 6 months to be able to have a chance to change my life, my family's life, and it's whatever changes my life is going to affect them also, right? So they all bought into that, and during the whole 6 months, they were supporting me during that time, and I felt supported, and I love that, and that really helped me, go through the program. And then another is the guests in the program. I really was networking with them and communicating with them with a lot of my peers who was part of the cohort. There was about three of them. I would name them Kenny, Courtney, and Shamari. From the time I started, like I talked to them every single day, even up to today, right after the program is done. And we spoke, we bounced things off each other, we encouraged each other, we motivated each other. But our entire cohort, the red cohort, like I felt like was a big, huge family, right? And we were able to feed off of each other and assist each other and help each other. And that really helped me because I leaned on them, right? And I was also able to help them too. And another thing that helped me as far as like managing my time, because I knew I had such limited time, when I came in, I knew creating a rhythm and a system that worked for me is what I needed to get into as soon as possible. So I had to start off consistent so I never have to get consistent. So no matter what happened in the program, because I already had that structure that I created and I made from the beginning, right, for what worked for me, whenever things change in the program, because there's different tools and stuff that we exposed in the program. There's different projects that some may be harder, some may be easier. Because I already had that structure of rhythm, which I created from early, I could easily adjust and adapt based on the which part of the program that I was in, and that I feel like was what really helped me, or like all those things is what really helped me as far as being consistent. And even when it was tough, being able to lean on my family, being able to lean on the cohort members, and then just having a rhythm to take me through the whole 6 months.
So one thing I think was important that you said too was outside of what you just said was really doing it scared because you had a lot of questions about what ifs,
Hmm.
right? What if this? What if that? What if you and Turks, right? Who's going to hire you? Are you ever going to be able to land a job, right? But you came in and did it scared. All outside of everything you did, your time, right? Making sure you dedicated certain time because your time is limited, making sure you had the right people in your corner, and telling your family, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing, communicating that, right? I need your support for the next 6 months, and leaning on your team that you were had in the program as far as bouncing things off. One of the things I know probably went through all of your heads were what ifs, right? Oh my God, what if I don't understand this the way I'm supposed to understand it, right? Oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pass this exam. What if I'm not gonna be able to land a job? All these thoughts on top of each other, you all still did what you were supposed to do scared, right? And it came out that it worked in a way that you planned it to. Even
Hmm.
though all these thoughts told you that you probably couldn't do it, even though your thoughts probably told you that you probably wouldn't be able to learn it, even though your thoughts told you, regardless of where you were, no one was going to hire you for a job because you was probably too remote in the island where you had no opportunities. But instead of listening to that, you still decided to take the journey and process this thing out. So process equals profits, y'all. I want you, matter of fact, put that in the chat because I want you to understand what that means. Process equals profits. This means it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. If you could put together a process and follow this process and follow a process that's been given to you, whether one or two or both, you will become successful, right? Your journey is not going to look like other people, right? Your journey might take a little longer or it might be super quick, but the process always equals profits. Put that in the chat right now. Anything you're thinking about right now, I'm thinking about learning and passing the AWS Solutions Architect. Okay, process equals profits. What is your process of taking an exam, right? Write it down. If you don't have one now, start prepping for the exam that you take, or start learning that tool and think about what helps you learn. If you're doing it on your own, write it down and follow that process from then on. And I guarantee you'll get stronger and stronger and stronger. And if you don't have a process, if you're looking for one, if you go to a program or if you find a mentor, make sure you just follow that trusted and true process as well, right? It's probably going to be hard because a lot of us is coming out uh, of other industries and we're not used to the change. And matter of fact, a lot of us don't want to change. We want the process to fit our life, right? But the process won't fit your life. You gotta change yourself to able to come who you want to become. So process equal profits, right? And success is outside of your comfort zone. If you remember those two things, this stuff is going to take off for you. All right. So next question. Sorry, man. I get to preach and I apologize. So, what advice would you give to prospective or current or future Lewitt guests who aspire to land a job in the industry? What advice would you give them right
Yeah, so definitely, like, okay, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a cloud engineer, DevOps engineer. We tend to only focus so much on the technical aspects of learning the tools and knowing how it's used and doing projects and all that stuff. But there's another part of it, especially which is one of, I think, which is the hidden gem in the program, which a lot of people thinking, they're just coming to learn the technical stuff. But there's this career and development part of Lewitt, right? Of the program where we're exposed to learn in public, right? Taking us out into the ins and out of building our brand on LinkedIn. Because it's like this: if you're learning all this technical stuff, it doesn't it doesn't pay any dividends if no one knows what you're doing, right?
Hmm.
So you're learning all this stuff, but no one in the industry has a clue who you are. So the program gives us a blueprint, and what I did is I took that blueprint and I ran with it, right? Like Broadus was saying, I already started kind of like posting on LinkedIn a little bit, just showing like what I was doing. But once I joined the program, that like I leveraged everything I was given, and I just took it and I ran it and I took it to the next level. We were advised to like, post 3 times a week on what you're learning. I was posting twice a day, right? So I was taking it to the next level. Like, yo, y'all gonna know me. Y'all gonna hear me. Y'all gonna see me. If you think of a job, I'm gonna be the first person in your mind, because it's like and then because nobody, like, they want to know your story, right? I realized that quickly when I started posting, is that it's like when you're watching a movie, right? When you watch the superhero, you want the superhero at the end to win. So when you start posting your story, posting what you learn about, you tend to realize that people want you to win. People start rooting for you. And then like I remember so many people started asking me for advice. And I'm like, yo, I just started the program. I don't even know much. I got people asking me to mentor them. I'm like, yo, I'm only like a few steps away from you. And like that's the thing. A lot of people are they're not vulnerable enough to be able to post what they're doing. So if you know about programming, right? I'll give you an example. Like the program, say Hello World, which is like the most simplest program you can make. Some people may say that's too trivial. I'm not going to post that on LinkedIn because that's just an easy program. But the thing is that there's someone who is just a step behind you who doesn't even know what a program is. And you post that, now you got people looking at you like, oh, okay, this person did that. I'm going to try and follow him and try and see what they're doing. And then now I had experienced engineers with 10 years of experience started following me and started, giving me advice of, okay, you did this project. This is great. You can make it better. You can advance it like this. So now I'm starting to have people mentoring me without me asking, and then me having the opportunity to actually help others. So that put me in a limelight, and my network just grew like insanely over the 6 months that I was in the program. So I'm gonna just say, like, let the world know what you're doing and tell your story, because people like to root for people who coming from wherever you're coming from, where you're transitioning. I played in a role that was a sports athlete, and everybody just, they just ate it up, because it's real. It's who I am. I'm being an open book and showing people like this is what I'm trying to do. And I feel like that right there is one of the best advice that I can say, because everyone is learning this technical stuff, right? But what sets you apart? What makes me as a hiring manager want to hire you, or what puts you ahead of other people, or what makes me think of you over someone else? Because your face has to be out there. What you're posting and what you're doing has to be out there all the time. And that's what I used, and that's what I leveraged with the program.
Yo, it's crazy because I mean the same thing happened to me, right? Sharing my story, putting it out there, and people with all types of tech backgrounds and years of experience came to me. And then some people were asking, like, can you mentor me? And I'm like, whoa, whoa, like, hold on. Like, me, right? So this is the thing where I want to say to y'all is this. A lot of y'all are not, as a business, right? You have to look at it. In business, you have business owners who create a business and put something out once. Hey, look at me. And let's say no one pays attention, or maybe they think no one is paying attention. They say, man, nobody responded, man. I know I should have. But you have to be willing to do this over and over and over and over every day and telling your story. And what's going to make you unique is your story, right? Yes, you might be a waitress like somebody else. You might be a waiter like somebody else, but your life is the unique part about it, right? The sacrifice that you make to learn this stuff is a part of your story. Company's going to say, hold up, you got 3 kids, you're a waiter or waitress, and you learned this stuff from scratch, and you push yourself through a program or, went through some mentorship, and you learn all of this in this amount of time. Think about a company or a person who understands that. I'm gonna be like, if they're willing to do that by themselves, imagine what they could do if I give them an opportunity. right? Imagine what they could do if I said, listen, I'm gonna bring you on a team, right? If you're pushing yourself to do this scared now, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there on social media, right? Then I know you're going to be able to push through and do it scared when I ask you to do something. Even if I give you something that you've never seen before, I know you understand the process of how you can figure it out with my help, with my team's help, and all of that. So you got to get out there and showcase yourself as a business. Because other than that, who's going to hire you? No one, because they don't know what you're doing. They don't
Mhm.
know anything about you. They don't know your story, right? So if somebody sees you for 5 months on LinkedIn posting, and when they get into the interview, the story is going to be you because they feel like they already know you and they haven't even talked to you yet, right? And that's the whole story is going to be you. You're going to be talking about your projects. You're going to be talking about what you learned, talking about your life, and that's going to get you in the door. So I got a couple more questions for you, big dog. So I know we talked about, what advice would you give current and future Louis guests, but what mistakes do you currently see people making right now on social media that prevents them from landing jobs?
Well, definitely, I'm gonna say LinkedIn. A lot of people are on LinkedIn, right? That's where you go, like social media platform, mostly to get or land jobs. There are others like obviously Twitter and also Instagram, right? If you continue posting what you're doing, but I think lack of professionalism, right? So your profile, I see a lot of people will have pictures of cars, pictures of, or just no picture at all, no profile picture. Like you go on their highlight, their headline, they just have a dash. I'm like, when someone lands on your page, that's the first impression that they get, right? And no matter what you're doing, once they see that, especially if it's a hiring manager or a recruiter, they see that and they already think, this person, I don't know anything about this person. They're not giving me anything. They're going to move away. But if your profile is something that they can't turn away, right? You have your face, you're smiling, you have your picture, a backdrop of everything you've done or saying who you are, and your headline is what you're trying to be. You're demonstrating your expertise and enthusiasm based off of your about feel, like who you are. Like that first impression is big because a lot of people came to me and was like, yo, just landing on your page felt like I needed to know you. And I'm not gonna lie, I took a lot of pride in that. When they told me, I was like, whoa, because I really put a lot of effort into that, right? So you have to showcase who you are because these people have never spoken to you, they've never seen you. So the only thing that they have on the internet of you is that first impression of your page. So that has to completely shout out what you're trying to do in your life, what career you're trying to go, what roles you're trying to land. And the next one I would say is lack of engagement or activity, right? You have to be consistent in posting on what you're doing. And the great thing about joining the program is actually when I started the program, I got like a great respect for content creators because it's hard to create content, extremely hard to think and create new content. But while you're in the program, everything you're learning, you get free content every day. So you're able to post new stuff every single day for 6 months. Now, imagine that you're posting every single day for 6 months. What do you think is going to happen at the end of 6 months? Everybody's going to know who you are. Everybody's going to at least heard your name. And then when you post that, yo, I'm open to work, you can see your network is going to start working for you and you don't even have to like look for roles. Because I always tell people like cold applying for roles is a thing of the past. Like you still do that, but that's like your last resort. You want your network to be able to work for you because they want to, not because they have to, right? And then the last one I would say using the right platform because um, what you what you post on Twitter is not going to be the same thing you post on LinkedIn. So being able to change and post differently because some people come on LinkedIn and start posting some absurd things and start posting, negative stuff about their old organization where they used to work with or who they're working with now. Like all that stuff is gonna automatically just like nobody's gonna want to deal with you. Everybody's gonna see me in a bad light. So
Yo, that's super dope, right? And what you're saying is head on. So think about it like this too, y'all, because I'm gonna piggyback off it for myself. Think about it is I always bring this back to music because I was a former musician and I was an artist trying to get hot in the streets, passing out my CDs and stuff like that, right? For those of you who are old enough to know what CDs are, all right? So let's say I'm an artist that's trying to get signed by a label, right? Major label, let's say Universal Records. And I have a connection to an A&R. A&R is almost like the recruiter, the gatekeeper to the label that I want to get signed to. Which one you think I have a better chance of reaching execs inside? If I went into that A&R's office and I gave that A&R a CD, and y'all know back in the day we had CDs with they just write the name on the CD, right? Broadus Palmer, blank CD, Broadus Palmer. It got like 3 tracks on it, right? Or if I went into that office with a whole package of my CD, let's bring it back to the CD days. Whole package of my CD on there. You can scan it, take you to my site with all my videos. I don't got some videos that's hot on YouTube. It gives you a list of where my shows at, right? It gives you a bio and give you an understanding. I even got a documentary on there talking about where I came from and how I'm coming up in the music business, right? Which one do you think will stand a chance of doing better of the A&R or the recruiter understanding my story and who I am to take to the execs? I think the second package. And a lot of people without pictures, without headlines, without sharing your story on LinkedIn are sending that A&R a blank CD with just your name written all over. And what A&Rs do back in the day with blank CDs with your name, they throw them in the trash. Because you know why? Because they say you're not serious enough to come to them with your full package telling them about yourself. You're not even taking this shit serious enough to put a picture, to put a headline, to put a banner, to share your story about what you're doing. You're not even serious enough to do that, to let them see who you are. So why should they waste their time to go to the execs and talk to the execs about somebody they have absolutely no clue who they are? Answer that question for me. I feel like I'm preaching tonight. Think about that. So when you're on LinkedIn and you just hitting up recruiters, you got no picture or you got no headline, you got no stuff to talk about. You're literally sending out a blank CD with just your name on it and expecting the recruiter to do the work to try to find out who you are, where you simply can just present to them who you are and tell your story or make them chase you. Better yet, the smarter artists in music, let's bring this back to music, said, you know what? I'm not going to go to the A&Rs. I'm going to make myself so hot in the streets that the A&R is going to see me. They're going to see who I am. They're going to see my videos. They're going to see my full package, and they're going to want to talk to me. That's the mentality you should have. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm going to get myself so hot on LinkedIn that the recruiters are going to come to me and say, we love your story. We want to be in the Dylan business. We want to be in the Jody business. We want to be in the Jason business, the Marcus business, the Derek business. How can we do so? All right. So with that, in closing, man, I want to say I want to ask you one last thing. And I know we went over time, y'all, right? But matter of fact, I ain't even got to ask you because Mel in the background, y'all. Mel's going to put your link up. How can people find you on LinkedIn right now? Put that link up right there. For those of you that's looking to connect with Ifeanyi, type that URL in the browser right now. Go to his page, connect with him right now. Or if you just type his name in, connect with him. Say, hey, your story was awesome, man. You inspire me so much. You have any tips? All that. Question for you, man. How many certifications you got, bro? I think this is a question for you.
I think I got, last time I checked, it was about 13.
13 certifications. And you know what the crazy thing is, right? He was so instrumental in leading his team and really being a mentor and helping people that, you know, we always look for shining stars at Level Up in Tech. So we offer him a role with Level Up in Tech, coaching AWS. It's a party every time he gets involved. Ask anybody that's involved with Ifeanyi, they love him right now. And that's what it's all about. We wanted to be in the Ifeanyi business. We love what he was doing. Like, that's what we need. That's the energy. That's how you want companies to be with you. They need your energy. All right. So a lot of you right now just kind of stuck, or you just don't know where to go, or you've just been trying to do it and you need a step to success, just like IO Input output, just like IO did. That's we gonna call it input output. That's just like IO did. He came to the program. Put July in the chat right now. If let me hide this. Put July for a special promotion to join Level Up Tech right now. If you want to talk about joining a program that's gonna push you, a fast-paced, intense program. Fast-paced, intense. Fast-paced, intense. If you're ready to fast track, if you're ready to put yourself in a position where you are challenged every single day, and I'm talking challenged to the point you've probably never been challenged like this in your life for some of y'all. If you're ready to be challenged to mold yourself into something that you never thought you could be, which is a cloud engineer, you had thoughts about this, put the July in the chat right now. Also, we want to invite you to the community. Link right there, facebook.com/groups/level up a tech. Come into the community. I put content in there every day. I want to just help you be successful on your own terms, even if you say, I'm just looking for motivation. I'm looking for strategic processes that can help me with my own process and learning. Come on, join the Level Up Tech Facebook group. IO, I'm gonna call you that. I'm sorry. IO, you got any last words for people out there that's just like you, brother?
Yeah, basically, so if you heard anything from my story, I hope it helps you with this statement, which is basically, what are you willing to sacrifice to make a change for your life, right? And if you have that chance, take the chance, right? Do it scared, take the leap, because you have that chance to change your life. I did it, and it changed my life, and it can definitely happen for you.
Yo, the brother was preaching. The brother was telling his story. Hey, listen, I appreciate you coming on, man, just sharing your story, just really getting people inspired, because you are another testimony of your test, right? Going from zero to cloud. When people say this couldn't be done, you showed them that they can do it. Other people like you have showed them. So if anybody's telling you out there that you cannot do this, look at this story right here. Look at this story right here. Ask me for the rewind. I'm gonna send you that, the recording. Look at this story. If somebody tell you that you absolutely cannot do this, look at this story. All right. And thank you so much for everybody that's joined this live. Thank you so much, Mel. Mel in the background. I don't know if you want to come up at the front. I always want to thank you. You want to come up? Thank you, Mel. Say, hey, Mel. Look, she come out in and out, right? So thank y'all so much for joining this live. Level Up Legends, from sports manager to sports project manager and former athlete to cloud engineer. We got to find a 2DA IO. We appreciate y'all, and keep leveling up for 2023. My name is Broadus. That's IO right there. And y'all gonna still see him kill it out in the market. And we out here. See y'all later.